We want to welcome everyone to our live from Guatemala webinar. My name is Stephanie and I'm joined by four advocates who are experiencing Guatemala for their first time and seeing exactly what the MPACT Project is all about and how it is working. Just a quick little bit about MPACT Project if you're joining us for the first time. We are empowering social entrepreneurs and connecting them with villages and communities in rural Guatemala to help them break free from the cycle of poverty. So we are working with, of course, technology. Our group is live from Guatemala, so bear with us as we try to get all of the bandwidth issues and things figured out. This will be about a 30-minute webinar, and without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn it over to the advocate group live from Antigua. Hi, guys.
Hello. Hey, Stephanie. Hi. Hey, my name's Caleb Williams. I live in Wisconsin, and it's a true pleasure to be here in Guatemala and to experience the things that we've experienced here on the trip.
Yeah. So my name's Bethany Tiffany. I'm also from Wisconsin, and this is my first time outside of the United States. So it's been an amazing experience, just seeing what MPACT Project is doing and to be a part of it.
Hi everybody, my name is Tracy Rice. I currently live in Taos, New Mexico, and I'm fortunate to have been able to join this group kind of last minute and meeting everybody that I'm here with for the very first time at the airport a few days ago. So it's been an exciting adventure, and I'm anxious to share with you the impact it's had on me thus far.
I'm Nisi Slack, and I'm from Arizona, and this is a thrill for me to be here, especially with three other advocates, and I'm excited to hear their stories from what they got today, because I have mine, and so I'm really looking forward to this time here right now.
All right, perfect. Well, let's go ahead and get started. We've met everyone. Who wants to share their first experience with everyone watching tonight?
So I think I'll start. Like I said, this is my first time outside the United States, so it was an amazing experience, just touchdown and landing in Guatemala. I think the first thing that hit me, I stepped off the plane and there was like a wall of humidity, of just like heat. But I come from Wisconsin where we just got like 12 inches of snow or something, so it was kind of refreshing. But yeah, it was amazing just going through the airport, and we went through baggage check and everything pretty quickly, and we got outside of the airport, and there was, hundreds of people just outside of the airport with like balloons shaped like airplanes and flowers, and they were just so excited for the people that were coming in. And that's not something that I see at American airports at all. So that was beautiful. So we met with Eduardo, and he brought us our bus driver in this large yellow bus. And so we get on the bus, and it was, honestly for me, it was amazing just being able to look out the windows and see these people with their faces against the wires, like watching airplanes take off. And there was a couple like saying goodbye, and a lot of life that was happening while I was driving by. And so that was beautiful for me to see, just being witness to life happening.
And I'll just take that. So we would not be here right now if it wasn't for our bus driver.
Yeah.
There was some pretty crazy little roads and turns, and my prayer life definitely increased sometimes while driving. So from the airport to our first hotel was about a 5-hour drive, and the roads were kind of bumpy, but one thing that surprised me was pretty much the whole 5 hours there were people living on the side of the roads in like shacks. There were people selling things, and the one thing I just remember thinking is, we're not in America anymore. Totally different culture shock.
For me, coming out into the airport, the people were super festive. I really, really liked that, and it was easy. It was super easy to get through the airport. Unlike, anyways. But as we're waiting out there, so the other people got greeted with signs and everything, and balloon, airplane balloons. We got greeted with a big yellow bus. That was cool. So everyone does things very well. Yeah. And that big yellow bus, though, I'm going to have nightmares about that. You'll hear about that later.
So I'm just grateful that everybody showed up. They were a little delayed, and I thought they were to arrive before me. So I'm literally walking back and forth and back and forth. I'm gonna guess maybe 25 times, just so it looked like I fit in, although I definitely didn't fit in. And I had lots of people approaching me about whether I needed a cab, if I was going to Antigua, and I didn't have the heart nor guts to tell them I had no idea where I was going. But so then I found Eric, and I'm like, Eric, over here. And then fortunately, Eduardo was there within the next 5-10 minutes, and we were off.
All right. So where did you go?
Well, you.
So yeah, where did we go? It was.
What was our first stop?
Let's see.
Because we went to the hotel. Well,
So we stopped at Walmart.
I'm going to
first,
tell you,
so
we went over the mountain for sure.
Golden Mountain for sure. And you went to where are you?
Well, as we got into Guatemala, we had to go to Guatemala City because the places that that MPACT were ministering to or working with, they're on the outskirts, and so hours away from Guatemala City. So we had to actually get out of the city, and so we got to experience a lot of things. Like things are not just as free. Flooring, at our hotel, there's a 18-year-old guy there standing there with with
shotgun.
shotgun. So you said to tell us what we see and how we feel. I don't know how you guys felt with that. How did you feel?
I honestly actually felt like protected, but in a weird way. So as we were driving, we saw, outside of pharmacies, there was, guys with shotguns, and it's a thing you don't see in America, but at the same time, it didn't make me feel unsafe because there was safe people with the guns. So we had guards, and that was interesting because that's not something we have at hotels in the United States.
So we get to the hotel, and then we go out to dinner. And when we're eating dinner, this was like the first very big thing that happened on our trip. Eduardo, our kind of our tour guide, our leader here in Guatemala, this gentleman is amazing. He has connections in all the villages. He has a huge heart for change, but he also is an incredibly smart guy. And he went on to say, and I guess I might be the only one confused. At first, I was telling people that I was going to Sagashi, Guatemala. No, Sagashi is a concept. And it's a concept that it kind of goes like this. It's start with what you have and empower the people, listen to the people and empower them. Do you guys want to, that was one of the three big things that happened for my trip.
I actually wrote that down. I did this human scale thing, but we won't go deep into that. But as he was speaking, I right away I just couldn't wait to get to sleep that night and to get into that village the next day so that we could see this deal here. And Waddle encouraged us to use our 5 senses. Yeah. And when we got into the village, the next day. And so I'm excited to talk about, like he said, to smell, to taste, to really look and see really who the villagers are. And so we had the opportunity to do that. And in that first village, that's where we had, oh my goodness, that's where we got to see the stoves. The stoves put into a couple homes there, and that was that's something I'll never forget. It was I've never seen people, a family, so grateful and so happy for a cook stove. And
so I'll
yes.
So we arrive in the community, and we get to the community center, and I don't know how many people were there. 100?
Probably.
I don't know. Lots of kids running around, and it was basically they were talking about the delivery and the process and educating everybody on how to install and actually maintain the stoves. So one of the things that I found really interesting is how engaged everybody was in the community, and really paying attention to the gentleman who brought the stoves, made the stoves. They were literally like engaged and watching every little move they made. So that was the point where I realized that this was very welcomed, and everybody opened, greeted us with open arms and smiles, and they were super excited to see us. And one of the initial questions I had for Eric when we started talking about MPACT, my concern was not knowing how well received we were going to be coming here. The difference in the Sagashi process and the evaluation is we're not here to just give something to somebody and come in and try to improve the quality of their lives and then just leave. It's empowering them and giving them the guidance that they need to do this on their own. And that was clear that they were ready to go. They were ready to start installing stoves, and we had 30 there, and actually got to help. And we have some footage of the installation of 2 of them, and the overwhelming gratitude that we received. There's one man in particular that I think we could all share, and I'll turn it over to somebody else. I think we all witnessed it a little bit differently, but in the end, it was the same result.
Okay, so we are 10 minutes in. We've heard a little bit about your trip from the airport to Reu, where MPACT Project is working. I just want to remind everybody to leave your comments or your questions in the chat bar, and we'll go ahead and get to those as well as quickly as we can. So let's hear about the stoves being installed and maybe what it took for both the village members and the Concole and our MPACT helpers, along with our MPACT partner in Chispa.
So I made the mistake of trying to help carry the stove. Number one, I gotta work out. That's good. So we carry the stove. It seems about 500 yards. It's to this like hut, like literally a hut. And right off the bat, I know the issue. There's tons of smoke, and we got to talk with the family who is receiving that stove, and gratitude. I can totally relate with that. So it was pretty cool. Right off the bat, we got to deliver this stove.
Yeah, and we had to, where the first one was going, there was an existing stove. So the question was where they were going to put the new stove in relation to the old stove, which was currently working. They were making something. Yeah, she was cooking something. And so fast forwarding to when we kind of circled back to start the installation, the stove was gone. Like, I'm still amazed at how they were able to shut down, pull it off. Maybe they didn't, but they literally moved it out within less than an hour, I would say.
And that's stones and all the blocks, the cinder blocks. The wood was burning when we were in there, and saying we were going to. So, and I think, Tracy, on that, watching that community work together, they were so happy for each other. They were for each other, and it did not feel at all like we were intruding on them. They wanted us there, and they were so happy to have us there. And at one point with the stove, and I'm watching everyone. They're peeking up over the kitchen wall. They're looking through the door, and I'm watching them, and I turned to thank one of the leaders, in which Tracy, that you were alluding to. His name was Herman, and he was 80 years old, and one of the leaders of the village had like 35, 34, something like that, grandchildren there. And so I was thanking him for allowing us to be here, and that we were honored to be here. And he understood that I didn't speak Spanish. He got that really quick. And he started pointing up, and then going to his heart and pointing up and saying thank you. And then a friend came over that could translate a little bit, and Herman was saying that just thank you, and he started to cry. Now, for me, that was one of the things I wasn't so sure of when I came to Guatemala, how I would be received as an African American woman. And he just hugged me, and he's crying. So of course, it was just such a Herman sealed the deal for me.
Well, so I think we were filming it, and everybody at that point was just like cut, and we all kind of went our separate ways and started like wiping our tears, and everybody's like, "What the heck's going on?" And it was extremely touching.
What did you guys feel like putting your hands to the stove, you know, and actually seeing it, having a part of installing it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I honestly, I did less of the work, I feel like, than anybody. Caleb was like sweating. He carried so many of those things. I think something that hit me, sitting in the community center, they have everybody together, right? And they made like a circle around, and Chispa went and they were showing them, demonstrating how to put it together, how to clean it. And everybody was very invested, right? They were invested in how to take care of this, how to do this, because they were invested in it. They had purchased those blocks that we were carrying for them. They knew that this was theirs. They had ownership of this. We were not giving this to them. That was something that was huge for me, because they, a woman later on, we kind of interviewed her, like, hey, you know, what do you think about this? And she said, this is giving opportunities for my children. And that was something that we were doing there. We were helping them create opportunities. And so we weren't giving them something. We were coming alongside them, saying, "Hey, can we walk together and help create opportunities for you?" And that was something that I felt in everybody that was there. Yeah. And I mean, these people are hardworking. I carried like one block, right? Because I'm sweet,
like five
child. She's got it too. She's carrying on her head and another one in her hand, right? And they're carrying them. And as we were leaving, right, because we have to go. They have a lot more to install still, right? And so they're continuing. They're walking. They're pushing these wheelbarrows with it in it. And they were thankful that we were there. And you could tell that from it. But they were, I think, most grateful that they were taking a step forward in opportunities for their children and for their communities. And that was amazing for me to witness. I think that impacted me more than I ever impacted them by being there and carrying one of those blocks. Yeah. Seeing that we were creating opportunities for those little kids that I was able to. I couldn't even talk to them, right? Because I don't know Spanish, but I was playing peekaboo with these little kids and knowing that they were going to grow up and have way more opportunities than if MPACT was not involved with that.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to go into a village, and I had to catch myself and pick everything wrong with the village. I mean, they're sleeping from a mud hut, you know, and there's garbage everywhere. But then when you think about the steps that they're making, and these people were empowered today or 2 days ago.
Yeah, they're empowered.
And the reason the steps that you see them making is because with Sagashi helping them to see that they can make some steps, so it gives them hope. And so that's why that stove was cleared out of there in less than an hour.
They didn't want that thing anymore.
It was a paradigm shift for me, for sure.
I think all in all, the energy that we experience just upon arrival through the whole process, and then getting on the bus and leaving. Yeah. It was kind of like one of those just happen moments where everybody was just like, chop, let's get these stoves installed. And I don't know how many actually got installed that day. I know we left behind 30. But it was pretty amazing to be able to be part of the process of the installation, and then witnessing the young woman who would then be cooking on her new stove. I mean, she was just super excited.
Maria,
and then
is her name.
Kind of sum up. So we brought 30, and they were extremely grateful. How many homes were there though?
Over 600, 300. There was hundreds for the village.
And so that just it was a big motivator. We got to see firsthand how much of an impact that these stoves were having. But that's just 30. There, we have some work to do in that village for sure.
And I think just to go back to in the community center, I don't think we caught on right away, but evidently there was a lot of I'm going to call it emotion around why some people were getting stoves and some weren't. That this was kind of a phase. This was round one. It was really one of those, once we realized what was happening, I said, we have to do more, like this is just, it's a need.
Okay, guys. So we have about 10 minutes left. Can you break down something that you learned from Eduardo? What's each of you just take a couple minutes and just being with Eduardo and watching him work in the villages, give us some takeaways about how, what you saw and what you felt there. Nisi, you want to give us started?
Yeah, today in El Rosario, we had been walking through the village for a little while already, and Eduardo, what he does, he takes us through, and he is so careful with the people. He is so careful with the people, and we turn the corner, and there's a baby, and it's in this little wooden walker thingy, and there's the mama, and we know straight away when we see the mama, because sometimes we couldn't tell if they were 12 or if they were actually 20, 25 or whatever, because of the stunted and that growth. But when Eduardo, he told us in English that little baby was very sick, and straight away we all went, oh. And he said, don't do that. Don't do that here. And for me, I don't know who all was there, but for me, he didn't have to explain why. Because people don't want to be felt sorry for. And I got that from him. And so I learned quickly from that moment that I don't need to pity the people, but we're talking about that, empowering them and showing them actually what they can do, and that baby can have a better future. But I learned from Eduardo today to be very, very careful as we partner and invest and work with the people of the villages here in Guatemala.
Sure, I'm happy to. To your point, he's very cautious, but what he's done is developed very strong relationships with these communities. And that was one of the first things that he told us. This process is about developing relationships. It's not going in and telling them what's wrong or what they need to do differently, but simply building a trusting relationship, and that we're actually here to help any way they need it, so that they feel empowered to improve the quality of their lives. And that was clearly evident anywhere we went, that he has a lot of respect. I'm no longer questioning whether we're well received here, what MPACT is doing here. It's without a doubt a different approach that is extremely effective, and that I got to witness everywhere we went.
Yeah, for me it was honestly, it was beautiful seeing Eduardo's heart, because his heart is for his people, right? And it's he was talking at dinner our first night, and he said that he went into villages much the same way as a lot of people do. Of giving things, right? Of going, here's a need, I see your need, here's what you need. And he said that he saw the consequences of that. And it was something that he didn't want to continue down that path. And so instead of getting angry about it, about going, hey, why is this going the way it is? he decided to find a better way. And so seeing his heart for that, and that Sagashi is the better way. And it's starting with what you have. It's empowering the people. Something he said is that we go in, right, and he starts by telling the village what's good about their village, right? And that is beautiful. That's starting with, hey, this is what I see you guys doing amazing at. He said, and then they turn around and they start telling him their problems. This is what we have a problem with. This is what we have a problem with. And he says, okay, and how are you going to fix that, right? He doesn't say, how can I give you something to fix that? He says, how are you going to fix that? And he said the villagers give him the answers. They say, hey, we have a problem with girls being abducted by getting water, right? And he says, how are you going to fix that? And they say, we're going to fix that by having a well that is a pipeline, right? And so they not only look and say, these are our problems, they say, these are our solutions, and we just need someone to partner with us to help us do that. And so as MPACT advocates, we get to partner with them to do that, right? So we don't give them something. We don't have to do that. We just get to partner with them, right? And we get to see the results of that.
And they're letting us.
Yeah.
They're letting us
because of how Eduardo has systematically worked with the people. It truly is a paradigm shift, in the relationships, and the trust that they have.
Yeah. So when Eric first talked to me about MPACT, he said we're gonna do this in such a way that we don't rob anyone of their dignity. And I didn't fully understand it until meeting Eduardo and being in the villages and seeing his heart. It's actually being in the villages. Their dignity is not being robbed. We're empowering them to do even greater things.
All right, you guys, it sounds like you're having such an amazing time. I know that you're set to come home soon, but make sure to leave your mark on Guatemala. And then, of course, we can't wait to see everybody who's had questions tonight and visit us for the webinar. This is recorded, so make sure to share impactproject.com with your friends, and we'll make sure to get it up in a couple of days. Any final thoughts from anybody?
I guess MPACT is we're not here to just look at what's wrong with these people. We have an opportunity to spark hope. And I'll tell you one thing, my life is more changed than any of those villages will ever be. And I mean, think about the model for a second, and it's going to be the most life-changing thing, I think, that's ever going to happen.
Yeah. We had the opportunity to see a village that had Sagashi happen to it 2 years ago, right? The first Sagashi thing that happened. And the hope that we saw there was the entire feeling of the village was changed. There was hope, there was a future, there was opportunities, and there was people looking to where they could get opportunities, more opportunities, right? So it started something that has a domino effect. So by us being advocates in the United States, not only is that affecting us and our lives, but it has a domino effect. It helps one village, which helps another, which helps themselves, continuing. So I think if I have anything to say, I would say that we cannot underestimate our voice. We cannot underestimate what we can do. How we can empower ourselves and how we can empower people here in Guatemala.
And for me, when you say, be sure to leave your impact on Guatemala, they have definitely left their impact on my heart. And so I promised, and I don't promise often, but I promise them that when I get back, I will be a voice for them, and the joy, they're just thank you, gracias. So a lot of you will be hearing my voice when I get back.
All right, well, we'll be sure to share it. You guys have a great night, and we'll do the same here in the U.S. Give us one final wave from Antigua. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.